I'm well. It's a busy Tuesday.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just been busy. Like life has been busy. Like just trying to, what I've noticed since you asked that, this got me thinking is I've realized I've spent a lot of time in things that maybe wasn't serving me to the best of my ability this year.
Okay. I hear you.
So I
But
decided to
I'm
take a
glad you're
step
here.
back. Yeah,
I'm glad. Good.
I'm glad we're both
Good,
here
good, good.
because we're going to talk about finding time for ourselves through the trauma, through the mental health, through the addiction, through every single thing. So do me a favor, please. Introduce yourself to my audience a little bit about who you are and, of course, where they can find you.
Yes, absolutely. My name is Blanca. This is the second time that I'm here with the phenomenal terrain at this phenomenal podcast. I'm the owner of Wounded Healer LLC, and under this umbrella, I provide services of massage therapy, canine massage therapy, holistic life coaching. I am a speaker, book co-author, group fitness instructor. Of course, I am oh my God, it went away. I am a volunteer. Wow, so important that it is in my life. And I add the volunteering because it is as important as every single other mission that I have with this company, which is help others improve their quality of life, no matter what age we are, no matter where we come from, because it doesn't matter where we come from in life. You know, our past is not going to be defining who we are now and who our future will be. And this is why I am here. This is why we are here, absolutely, to make a difference. And starting with myself, definitely being here is a joy for me. I mean, the previous conversation that we had is like, oh my God, I want more. And here we are, Taryn. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So I guess my first question for you is regarding your work. What are some of the joys that you've recently discovered?
One of the quite a few joys that I have about what I do is that people feel better once I give them the services that they need, whether it is, I mean, I just came home from a fitness class. I was giving a Pilates class to a group of women 55 plus, and I was like, well, how are you feeling? Oh my God, I'm fantastic. I'm so happy. This was great. More, please. That makes me happy. That is worth more than $1 million, that's for sure. And $1 million are more than welcome. But let me tell you something. When people feel better, whether it is through a conversation, through life coaching, whether it is through a medical massage, because I provide medical massage therapy services, or group fitness instruction, is it's equally rewarding for me that people overall feel better. It's a whole different ballgame from one when they come through that door versus leaving and going out that door. And that is what we say is like, okay, my job was well done here. And I always celebrate it. And I'm very grateful for that, because that doesn't happen often with a lot of people in many places, in many jobs. That I mean, I've been in the position as well in the past that I despised the job that I had, and I despised it. And it was like, I'm miserable to be here. And it's not easy to have a life like that. So when I receive the feedback of a smile, the feedback of thank you so much, that is worth a lot, and it means a lot, definitely.
Why do you think some people don't create time for themselves to be happy in the way that you described?
Well, I can tell you my own story, because we always have a story to tell. Life gets lifing a lot, and not all the time, and not in all seasons in our lives we are in the same place, whether it is emotionally, physically, whatever the case. may be. And definitely in my case, when I started being a massage therapist 20 years ago, my personal life was in turmoil. I was in a relationship that it was highly abusive and dysfunctional and addictive. And what I was doing was providing services and drowning myself, so to speak, in work as a distraction. Because if I was so busy helping others and doing things for others, I wouldn't have any time to think about my issues, to think about my darkness, to think about the turmoil in my own home. So I can say from my own story, I didn't want to find the time to be with myself because I was in such turmoil. And honestly, I was really scared to face the mirror and tell to myself, are you practicing what you preach? Are you helping yourself the way you're helping others? And it was a long season of my life. I mean, I could say the first 5 or 10 years of me being a massage therapist that I would really preach to the choir and tell them and be passionate about taking care of my patients and making recommendations to them that yes, they do work. Yes, I knew that it worked, but I didn't apply it to myself. And when that change came, that I mean, because we change our mindset, our lives definitely will change. And when I started changing my mindset and saying, I really should practice what I tell everybody to practice. I really should go into prayer. I really should do some meditation. I really should look at myself in the mirror and say, hey, I like you, instead of running away from the mirror, instead of just talking to others and taking care of others and not taking care of myself. And when that change came, I didn't look back. And these changes, I was getting out of my comfort zone. And when I say comfort zone, it's the comfort zone of being in a relationship and in an environment that was not conducive to anything good in my life. That is for sure. And I was repeating my own generational trauma that comes from before me as well. It comes from my relationship with my mother. It came from my father being dying in a violent way. So yes, I continue that trauma, that childhood trauma that was unsolved for so long, in the form of having relationships that were violent, in the form of overly taking care of everybody else and not wanting to find the time to take care of myself. And definitely change is good, and change is here to stay as long as we pursue it with everything we are. It's worth it.
The day that I decided to put myself first was the day that some people weren't going to make the journey with me, because I began to realize that the energy that I was using to pour into their cup instead of pouring into my own, they were using it and they're
Mhm.
abusing it in a lot of ways. It's like this beautiful saying that I always share is your emotional or your mental health piggyback. Like how many times are you putting deposits in there versus how many withdrawals are you taking?
Right.
And I realized there's a lot of people that were taking and taking and taking, and they weren't depositing anything in there, and it left me wanting because I just kept people pleasing.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know what? Eventually they'll come around. What do you think of people who hope that people will stop hurting them even though they know that it's their responsibility to take care of themselves?
I mean, based on my own perspective and my own experience with being a people pleaser, as you were, I was overly pleasing everybody. I was overly saying yes. I was scared of saying no because, and this, I realized years after, and it was because of trying to fill a void that was empty. And I was trying to be with someone, or I was seeking for attention. I was seeking for acceptance. That's a big one. I was seeking for acceptance, and that's why I would never say no to anybody. And it will be yes and yes and yes. And when I started little by little to say no, I was uncomfortable. I felt ashamed. And this is the thing, when we say yes too much, it's because of low self esteem issues. I have a tremendous amount of low self esteem, low self worth. And I was saying to myself, if I say no to this person, they will stop liking me. And I want them to like me. And that was the mentality. I want people to like me. I cannot make people like me. Okay, that's their decision. And when once I started little by little, here we go, because this took me a very long time to understand that when we set boundaries, people will respect them. When we set boundaries, the ones that stay and respect your boundaries, those are the ones that are keepers. But when we set boundaries and people get uncomfortable, they get edgy, they get angry at you because you finally are setting a boundary, that is a red flag. That is a call for run, don't walk. And when it comes to people pleasing, I have a mentor that he says, you got to raise that rent on the people that come to your life. And if you raise that rent, the people that appreciate and value the essence of who you are will stay no matter what. But those that are coming in for a free ride or a free pass of any sort, those will get angry, those will turn their backs on you, and those are the ones that will stop talking crap about you because they are not getting what they used to anymore. And I in my life, oh my God, family members, friends, a whole bunch of people that I will be this overly people pleaser. They got really uncomfortable when I started saying no. And it's like, well, you know what? Change is a constant and change is here to stay. Until this day, I even thank these people that decided to walk because I set boundaries, because that was the biggest proof that okay, my self-worth is improving. My self-esteem is going up. All this work that I'm doing for myself is really having good results. And nowadays, those that stayed, they know who they are. Of course, it's a small group of people. And the new people that are coming in, the boundaries are set. I don't have to be repeating the same thing that I repeated for many years of my life. And definitely setting boundaries for ourselves is self love. That is for sure.
When you realized that you wanted to get acceptance from people, but then you turned it around and focus on you, how powerful was that realization to you at that point in your life?
You know, and in my case, like I have always been accepting of, I have progress in life later in life. And I explain. When I took, I've been a professional dancer for many, many years, for 40 years. But I started my first class, my first dance class, I started it at 15. I was like 10 years late already for being a dancer. Well, I became a professional dancer and instructor till this day. I'm 60 right now. And then after that, of course, I had children later in life. It's been like everything has been later in life, but it's been for a reason. And that reason is a very powerful one. And I can tell you this, when I finally realized that these changes needed to happen, I was 51 years old. I finished writing my co-authorship for a book. And I believe that that whole year of me writing down my life, opening up like never before, because I come from a lot of childhood trauma. I come from silence. I come from a lot of silence. And when I made that conscious, powerful decision of opening up, breaking my silence, getting support, getting counseling, that's when a whole new door open for me. And it didn't open for me. I decided to open that door that was always there waiting for me to just turn and open up and come in. The one thing that I felt more empowered more than anything, especially writing this co-authorship, was exactly that, setting the boundary, putting a stop to my silence, and opening up in the biggest, most powerful way in my life, which was through a co-authorship. I'm not a reader. I'm not an author. I mean, it's like, well, I did terribly. I did terrible in school. I'm ADHD. I did terrible in school, and I became an author. What are the odds of that? I have no idea. But you know what? I said this process and this journey is choosing me for a reason. This is happening for a reason that became bigger than me. And that's another one that it was like so empowering. It's like, this is bigger than me. This is not about me breaking my silence anymore and starting breaking the chains of just generational traumas and childhood trauma. This goes further than me. This goes to the masses. This goes to the other person that has suffered in silence, just like I did all of those decades ago. And when the realization came, it's like, okay, this is getting bigger and bigger than me. It's because of something significant and something important that needs to be done. And that's why I'm here tonight with you on a Tuesday evening, having a conversation with this amazing human and letting the world know and letting everybody know that, you want the change, you got to go do the change because nobody's going to do it for you. So wake up. Yep.
I spoke to a few women who are around your age, they're in their 60s, and they struggled with boundaries because they felt that it was going to prevent them from finding the type of peace, happiness, and in many cases, love that they wanted. So when you decided to set your boundaries, what are some of the steps that you had to take to enforce those boundaries to make sure that they held true to what you wanted to be?
Well, that is a real good one. I mean the process of um self-respect was a long one. And when it came to finding a partner, that was a very tricky one because I grew up around violence. I grew up around, I grew up as a Latina. I grew up that, I mean, they tried to indoctrinate me, but it really didn't work out that well for anybody. I grew up that you have to be obedient. You have to devote yourself to your domestic position. You have to put everybody's priorities before your own. I tried to do all of that. It didn't work out. It really, really didn't work out. Why? Because the first thing that happened when it came to putting everybody's priorities before my own, I created grief with others because the sacrifice that I was doing to please other people, it wasn't necessary. I mean, there was no reciprocity there. I didn't get the same treatment back, that is for sure. And when it came to partners and when it came to boyfriend, it came to my ex-partner, the father of my kids, I was looking forward to something from someone that could never comply. I was in my mind making this beautiful movie of, oh my God, we're going to be a happy family with our two kids and we're going to go into the sunset and everything is beautiful. And no, I made that in my mind on my own because he wasn't there with the same mindset. That is for sure. So that's when disappointment comes. That's when unfortunately, the love fades because love is like a plant. Love is like a tree. If you don't water it, if you don't give it attention, if you don't give it love, it will fade, it will dry, and it will die. And that's exactly what happened with the father of my kids. Unfortunately, he was a nice guy, but we were never meant to really be together. And we received the blessing of being the parents of two amazing humans that I call my kids. But when it came to love and finding that love, definitely it was never meant to be with him. That's for sure. When I finally changed, when I finally changed the channel, that I was looking for love from somebody that couldn't give the same thing back. When I did a list of 10 things that I want on this special person, and I wish for it with all of my heart and my soul and the bottom of my being, then change really happened. But the first person that had to make that change was me. The first person that had, if I wanted something better, I really had to mean it from the bottom of my heart. It's like, okay, if I want this change, I gotta kind of be the change myself. And when that slow process of change came, I was still with the father of my kids. We were in a loveless relationship, and I quietly, because I was really good of staying quiet and being silent, and nobody will know my suffering but myself. So there's a lot of people out there like myself that live lives of quiet desperation, pretending that everything is good and that I got all of my stuff together, when no, I was falling apart in the inside. But I am really good at being an actress and acting like everything was great. So when I started to let go of that and welcoming what I am really worthy of, 3 months later, I met my now husband. When I finally, yes, and we've been 12 years married, and we have a beautiful, healthy, no, well, that normal, nothing is normal in life. I don't believe in normal, but we have a healthy relationship with boundaries, with love, with respect, and most of all, communication. We laugh together. We don't take things way, way too seriously, because everything is serious enough around us. So we love each other's company, and more than anything, communication. Being friends is talk about this. Please, let's open up, because if we start being silent on each other, it will go down to shreds like it did before. I've been there before, and the ending was not good. So that's definitely the different thing that I did now. And I'm very happy about it. 12 years married, damn, that says something. That's for sure.
And it's interesting once you start to, at least for me, once I started to figure out what I wanted and what I wanted to do, and I healed myself, it was like seeing the demons inside of people. I was like, oh my God, I know I don't want that anymore. I want a little bit more of this, but that I don't want any of that. How
Right.
did you find the courage not to give up on yourself as you continue this journey?
The first thing about courage is built. Courage comes from within. It's like here we go with a flower and a plant. We water it, the plant will grow. We keep on watering it, and the oak tree will be beautiful. And when it comes to courage, that is something that I built up from, I don't know, since I was a little kid. When I lost my father, when I was 8 years old, it was a very tragic passing. It was the time, I don't know how things, hopefully in Puerto Rico, the mentality is totally different now. But I live in an environment when I was 8 years old that I lost my father of, shh, you don't talk about the dead. You don't talk about the dead, because that's not good for anybody. When it's the whole opposite. The more you talk about that person that you miss so much, the better you are. And I had to find courage, or whatever the case it was, when I lost my father, because I had no one to turn to. I didn't have my mother, I didn't have my siblings, I didn't have nobody in school, nothing. It was all silence. And it was awkward, and it was lonely, and it was dark and cold in there. And I had to understand grief when I had no idea what the hell grief was in the first place. And then after that, my mother went into a deep depression, and she never recovered from it. My mama had chronic untreated mental illnesses most of her entire life. And those were the years, this is 1970s, when nobody, it was another shh, hush, hush. You don't talk about mental health. You don't talk about, oh, and mental illnesses. Oh my God, that's the demon. The monsters. Oh yeah, that was like, you don't talk about that. And my poor mother, in her mental illness, it was very destructive. It was very unhealthy. It was very unstable. It was very, very hard. And I think that all of that, all of those dark moments and very difficult moments helped me build the courage to go on in life, because honestly, I wasn't thriving. I was surviving on happy moments, surviving on fun, surviving on overindulgence, surviving on jumping from person to person. When I started growing up in my teens and 20s, I mean, I was surviving the day. And in the meantime, while I was in survival mode, I became a professional dancer, secretary. I did, things with my professional life and career, but definitely building that courage, it took me a long time. And I didn't even know that I had the courage until I internalized it, until I look back and I started counseling. I went for help. I went for support. I did counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, group therapy. And I was like, oh, this is a whole new door that opened for me. And understanding is like, it took me so much courage to ask for help. That was the first step when I really understood is what the heck courage was. I had a lot of courage before that, but I didn't even realize what that it was courageous what I was doing with my life in the midst of everything and all the turmoil and the tornadoes around me. So definitely, the to me the biggest moment when I said, "Wow, this was courageous," was asking for help, asking for support, and getting the support from people that really, really cared, and not even family member, professionals, friends, and people that you say is like, "Wow, well, look at." I mean, this is amazing that people really want to support this mission, that really want to support my growth and going through very horrible moments. These people are still there. And after all this said and done with a very difficult relationship, these people that helped me over 15 years ago to walk away from a violent relationship, they're still there. They're still here. They're still rooting for me. They're still, I mean, we still support each other in the best possible way we can. So that is courageous. And I cannot thank all of those people that believed in me, because they took the time and the courage as well to believe in this woman that I was really lost in the sauce. But now it's a whole different ball game. I mean, I don't know. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be alive, because I could have been, it could have been me. It could have been me, definitely.
I'm old enough to remember when people thought mental health was possession and it was the devil, right? Where you needed
Yes.
an exorcism, right? They had the holy water, they would do the cross,
Right.
everything, because it was something that not a lot of people spoke about. It was very hush hush. You don't
Absolutely.
tell people you're suffering, especially if it's going to be something that's going to impact the image of the family, right?
Right.
We're not
Mhm.
like this. We're not that way. Looking back, Blanca, what is something that you learned about yourself that you're kind of surprised that you had maybe the strength, the courage, or even the wisdom to work through it?
Definitely through experiencing chronic, untreated mental illnesses my entire natural life. That has been one of the biggest lessons of resilience that I have. It's like, damn, when I survive, holy moly, wow. And I can give you an example. I grew up around mental illnesses, not only my mother, but uncles, aunties. I mean, the whole shenanigan. Everybody, I mean, if there's an encyclopedia of mental illnesses, I think I have one family member that has each mental illness that there is, because it's holy moly. It's like, oh, wow, what a nut house, literally. So I remember that my mother and my auntie will say, "Hey kids, get ready. We're going to visit your uncle." My uncle was with schizophrenia, okay? He was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. When he was under the influence of the horse tranquilizer that he was taking, because it was one pill for every single illness that there was mentally in those times, and it was a horse tranquilizer, they will become zombies or they will be like dangerous. And that was my uncle. So my my mother and my auntie, I even laugh about it now, but back in the day that was terrifying. I remember like it was yesterday that they will say, "Okay, okay, kids, get ready. We're gonna go see your uncle." And it's like, "Which uncle?" "Oh, your uncle. That he's in the hospital. He was in the psychiatric ward." Listen, check this out. He was in the psychiatric ward, and we will be allowed to go to the psychiatric ward. I was 7 years old. I was a little teeny tiny kid going in a psychiatric ward. I remember the people. I remember the smells. I remember the crazy. I remember the screams. I was glued to my mother in terror. And I was asking myself, why in the world we are here? And then sometimes I will go with my older siblings, and they will want to stay. They will want to stay outside. And I'm like, "Oh, stay outside with my brother and my sister, please, please, please." Okay, okay. But when I had to go through that torture of going to a psychiatric ward that a little kid who would should never experience this, oh my god. Oh my God. You know, that is one of those lessons. It's like, that was brave of me that I didn't put a tantrum and started screaming and crying, "Get me out of here." Because probably I would have been even more trouble. And my mother will slap the heck out of me if I threw a tantrum. And I will be quiet and I'll be like, "Oh my God, please God, let this moment pass as quickly as possible." And you know, that is like kind of funny. It really is not, but I laugh about it now. But besides that, I experienced and I saw many difficult things when it came to chronic untreated mental illnesses, when it came to family members being under the influence of these tranquilizers or not. It was dangerous situations. It was very difficult. And in my mother, even though she had mental illness herself, she was highly aware and always on the lookout, especially when that uncle will be around, because that uncle, when he will be in a bad position, he will land up always at our house. And he was a predator. And and I don't think he was a predator about hurting people, just punching people. I think he was a sexual predator as well. And he was a very dangerous person. And let me tell you something, I learned how to shield myself from that person from a very young age. And my mother would say, when your uncle is here, you need to be with me. But when my mom was not around, it's like, I'll hide. And that's what I did. I have always climbed trees. This was the days that everybody was outside. So I will climb the tallest tree because I'm a climber. Yeah, I love climbing trees, and I will climb the tallest tree and stay out there and look and be on the lookout until, here we go again, my older siblings will come home, and then I will be with them. But me alone with that person, I learned from a very young age not to be ever with that person. That was gut instinct. No, I mean, my mother said something, but it was like, nah, I gotta do what I gotta do to defend myself. So definitely those experiences definitely shape me into listening to the gut. Be aware. Look at your surroundings. And I'm a sexual violence survivor as well. And that was another one that it was another huge trauma in my life. But definitely that helped me build the awareness of look everywhere before I step in a car, out of a car. Till this day, carry your keys with you, the key with you in your hand. So whatever happens, you are ready. So yeah, definitely that helped me shape those bad moments shape me into in a big way into what I am today. That's for sure.
Many people, when it comes to a traumatic event, they begin to develop that voice that's inside them that says maybe you don't want to go here, maybe you don't want to trust that person, be on the alert. And I think many times, unfortunately, we've always had that voice, but after the trauma, it gets louder
Mm,
because now we're hearing it before maybe we were ignoring it. We're like, you know, Train, that person's energy, it just throws me off a little bit.
right.
But we ignore it, right? And then we go there, and then if something happens, we're like, it's an
Hmm.
unfortunate situation because we're not
Right.
responsible for what happens to us most of the time, but we are responsible for how we can resolve and protect ourselves afterwards.
Yep.
When it comes to the trauma that you experience or just trauma in general for some people, it seems like there's two things that always impacts them post trauma. There's the guilt of the trauma, and then there's the shame of the trauma. How do you think that impacted you, if it did? And how do you think it impacts people in general to deal with the shame and the guilt of their traumatic experience?
Yeah, since ever, since I mean, my childhood trauma came when I was very, very young. By age 8, I lost my beloved father violently. And after that, my mother fell into a deep depression that she never recovered from it. It was like part of my mother died with my father, because the woman that she was before my father's death was a whole different person from what she became, unfortunately, after my father's death. She lost everything. She lost her all, that is for sure. And then after that, being in a world of silence, a little girl listening, hearing about, I mean, around her, it's like, shh, you don't talk about the dead, just you don't talk about the dead. So this little girl, what she understood was, I don't talk about anything bad. That's literally what I understood. So in between the ages of 8 and 9, I lost my father, I lost my mother in a big way, and I was sexually assaulted for the first time. I didn't understand what was going on. But what I grew up around was, maybe I put this on myself. Maybe it's my fault that this happened to me. And this is when shame, low self esteem, and low self worth, those three came together in a big group. And it followed me everywhere I went because I embraced it as well. All I thought about myself was, I'm ashamed, and maybe I did something wrong. And I was always thinking, for that first time when I was walking down that walkway in between houses from school with a backpack that was bigger than me, with this uniform, and this bully passes by me and does what he did, was a grown ass man, and I was a 9-year old girl. I really thought for a very long time that I was responsible for that, that I did something wrong, and this is what happened for doing something wrong. But the one thing that really made it even worse for me was my silence. I never talked about this to no one until 40 years later. Yes, I waited 40 years of my life to start breaking my silence, to get support, because even when I went to counseling for other issues before, in my younger years, I never mentioned that I was a sexual violence survivor. I was so ashamed that I just wanted to bury it and throw it under the rug and under the rug and under the rug. And this is the thing: when we let shame take over, when we don't confront ourselves with this trauma, this situation will repeat itself over and over and over until we face the situation. I am a sexual assault survivor since I was 9 years old. But what happened to me when I was 9 years old, it didn't stop there. I was sexually harassed for many decades of my life. I was sexually assaulted even by my ex-partner. So it kept on repeating itself over and over and over and over until I say, this is going to stop. I need help to change the narrative. I need help to start the healing process. And the healing journey never ends. This is for the rest of my life. There's good days, there's bad days, there's trigger days. And when it comes to such a violation of our bodies, it's very important to share it with your loved one. And when I say your loved one, your partner in your present. Why is this so important? Because something, and I had this experience with my now husband twice only in our marriage. We've been 12 years married, and I something happened that he touched me in a certain way that it triggered me, that it took me straight back to that past. And silence is a killer when it comes to this. I was affected, I was shaking, I was trembling, I was scared, and he was like, what is happening? And I went ahead and said it all. You touched me in a way that took me somewhere, and I don't even know why. But this is the triggers that is so important that we face them, embrace them, and let them go, because we're in a safe space now, because things are better now, because you are with someone that really does respect you. And this is when it's so important to understand that our past is not going to be defining our future. It's not. We make the decision to either not let go, because these are things that will never go away from your life. Okay, this will never happen. But understanding that things are better now, that you're in a safer space, that you're in a safe place, that you respect yourself now more than ever, that I embrace my body for what it is. I understand now. I thank God every single day for this body, this functional body that is moving, even though I swept it to the ground. Because when I was in the full-blown shame, pain moments in my life in my 20s, I definitely, the self-destructive pattern was nonstop. I'm telling you, Train, I don't even know how I'm still here, but God chose this for me for a reason. That is for sure. I mean, in my 30s, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it to 40. Either somebody's going to kill me or I'm going to have a drug overdose, because I was there too. I did drugs, alcohol, jumping from person to person, violent relationships, all of it in the on the name of shame, guilt, and low self-worth, low self-esteem. Self-sabotage followed with me, and oh boy, did self-sabotage many times over the years, and I forgave myself for it. And forgiveness is the heart of the matter. I forgave myself because I didn't know how else to cope. And when it comes to coping mechanism, we know very well that the coping mechanism can be drugs, can be alcohol, can be something that numbs us. And I lived many years of being numb, of not facing my reality, of not getting that help that I so very much needed, because I was supposed to stay quiet and stay silent. So that horrible pattern followed me, and I let it follow me for many years until I made the decision, the hard ass decision of, let's get out of the comfort zone and make this better for myself. And I am grateful to this day. And this is why this mission is became bigger than myself. This is right here, right now, with what I'm telling you. Yeah, very important. Very grateful.
It's unfortunate that because we're silenced by society, by culture, by our family, that then we turn to external things to cope.
Right.
Sex, drugs, money. Many of us work long hours instead of 8 hours, working 14 because the child in us is running away from something because maybe we didn't get the unconditional love that we needed, right?
Right.
You do well in school, I love you. You do well in sports, I'll validate you.
Hmm.
When you when you explain the importance of the communication in creating a safe space, you have that with your partner currently.
Hmm.
How beneficial was that for you to be able to open up and have that safe space?
The first amazing feeling that I had with opening up, telling my story, open communication with my husband, with my sister, with my siblings, with my own kids. They are grown up adults right now. It feels liberating. It feels empowering. It feels it feels like it's like, oh my God, I'm lifting such this huge weight off my shoulders, and it disappeared. It was that feeling of I feel lighter. I feel like I don't have to carry this heavy weight of shame and guilt and darkness and death and self-sabotage, destructive patterns, because oh my God, my self-destructive patterns were there for so long. And once I started to open up about all of these things to my husband, he is the youngest of seven brothers, so he never experienced a sister. He only experienced his mother. And he tells me it's like living in a boy's world. I am sure that is a whole different ball game. And he told me I that he never really understood what how much of a toll silence can take on someone, and how much how much destruction can bring on its path. All of this silence, all of these years of shame, all of these years of numbing myself with all of this external stimulants, because it was all about the stimulation and forgetting that it was there. That's the coping mechanism. It's like, I want to forget about this. And I wanted to lock it in a box and throw away the key with the box. And well, the box keeps on coming back, and the key too. That's the thing. So definitely, opening up to someone that is compassionate, empathetic, supportive, loving, that doesn't think any less of me because of where I have been. That is power. That is, to me, the most beautiful sign of humanity that there is. It's like, this gives me hope, because I know, like my husband, there's a lot of people out there like you and I. It's like, yeah, we've been in a big shit show many times in our lives, but we're here and we are not really using it. But it's like, well, I am, turning this around into lessons. And as long as we see the lesson in the darkness, I think we should be just fine. As long as we find that treasure in the trash, we're doing something significant with our lives. And all of us have a story to tell. All of us in this world. What is your story? And what are you gonna do with your story? That's a whole different ball game. But the way that my story, where it has taken me, where it's taken me to this day, tonight, I'm like, damn, if this is what I mean, if all of this that happened it's what took me today, tonight. I'm a TEDx speaker. What the hell are the odds of that? I did a TEDx speech, and my TEDx speech was about mental health, loss, and making it to the other side. So if it takes me to where it has taken me today, I'm grateful, man. I am grateful and I am happy. And I know I'm not celebrating what happened to me in the past, But I am grateful to learn the lesson and to use it for the better good of others. How beautiful is that? And that's why I'm here in this world. That's why I'm here still. And I am grateful every morning and every night when I wake up and when I go to sleep. It's like, thank you, God, for me because I'm still here. It's a beautiful thing.
Blanca, as we close, I want to ask you one final question.
Mhm.
This question, I'm going to give you three wishes. So, what are three things you wish people knew about believing in themselves and why?
Three wishes about people believing in themselves and why. I wish that people will trust the process. Why is that? Because we have no control over what happens to us in a day, in a week, in a year, in our whole lives. We can only control one thing. When we get up in the morning, our little routine in the morning, and when we go to sleep at night, then you're going to go to bed. That's the only thing that you control, more or less. Maybe yes, maybe not. Because everything is subject to change in life. Everything. I wish that people will be more accepting that change is a fact, it's a constant, and we don't live without change. Why is that? Because from the moment of conception to the moment of our passing, we are changing. Change is like breathing, you don't go without it. And the third one, I wish that we all